We know that 25% of road traffic accidents can be linked to insufficient sleep.
So if I was someone that maybe, was happy to kind of fudge it a bit, I hadn't quite had enough sleep, I thought I could probably cope. Is there an incremental difference? And this is a leading question, and a particular area of interest of mine, but in terms of performance, say, as a surgeon or in whichever field, you've talked about the very, very important integral functional importance of sleep over time and over a lifetime. But in the moment of doing something as well as you possibly can, is it important that you've slept well the night before?
Yeah, absolutely. And there's been studies measuring this, restricting people's sleep to different amounts. So, for example, 8 hours, 6 hours, 3 hours, or no sleep at all. And they have found that if you go 10 days with 6 hours of sleep, your performance is impaired the same as someone who has gone one night without sleep at all, which is pretty significant. And that if you go more than 16 hours without sleep, which is just a kind of late night, you can see drops in your performance, which are not dissimilar to being over the legal limit to drive in many countries. So our ability to perform, they did a simple test where they asked someone to hit a light, a little button every time they saw the light happen. And what happens is when you're deprived of sleep, you often miss that little light going on, about sort of 10% of the time when you're sleep deprived, which is fairly significant. And what's happening during those times, actually your brain has gone into what's called a microsleep. So you are so deprived of sleep that your brain prioritizes sleep over whatever it happens to be that you're doing in that moment. And so all of us probably have experienced this at some point, wherein you're in an afternoon meeting and you just do that little head bob. And that's a slightly more significant microsleep. They can be just sort of tiny nanoseconds that happen. But if you think, if, for example, you're driving a car or you're in the middle of an operation and you have that microsleep at a vital minute, everything switches off at that point where you're having a microsleep. And in the same way that your head bobs, kind of your whole system, and you can miss something so vital, and errors are made. And for example, we know that 25% of road traffic accidents can be linked to insufficient sleep. 35% of those that are fatal are linked to insufficient sleep. So you're more likely to have a bigger accident because of it. And we know that big errors in kind of, like, for example, Chernobyl and the space rocket Challenger explosion and the Mile oil spill, all of those big catastrophes have been linked to insufficient sleep or making decisions without enough sleep. And so it's not just a moment of kind of bobbing your head and losing a moment. Actually, these things have real world consequences, which, when you're doing something as vital as operating on someone, are life changing.